You're here, and we're just going to get started. We're starting a little late. We have a speaker that's going to be here before 8 o'clock, and she's going to be talking about the human trafficking, sex trafficking in Dallas and what they're doing about it and stuff like that. So she'll be here fairly soon. But this is where we usually talk about what we've done the week before, what we've got coming up, and we have a new person here today. So I have a little card in a little bit, which I'll hand to you, talking about we try to promote other people's groups and radio stations and places where you can get the truth, because unfortunately our media is propaganda, most of it. Like even now what's going on in the Ukraine, it's like it's hard to know what truth is, anymore. The WikiLeaks kind of things is where you really get the truth, and the video from people, personal videos. So, anyways, the Moriartys, I thought they might be here. The Moriartys are a couple that is always updating us on Libya, and they're actually going to be moving a little further away from Dallas. They have a great opportunity to be somewhere more secluded, and lucky them. They're going to have what we all want, a little bit of peace. And they're still going to be able to connect, because a lot of what they do is through the internet, and so as long as we still have the internet to use, we need to make good use of it, which I do. I know a lot of people don't like to be on Facebook, but you don't have to be yourself on Facebook. You can be somebody else, You don't have to be yourself. And yeah, you can have a AKA, and it really is a good way to connect with people, especially activists like us. When I've always figured is they're watching us anyways. They watch us through our phones. Nobody's giving up your phone, and I guess these things can triangulate where you are and how long it's going to take for you to be at home and all this stuff without even asking them. So they're watching us anyways. So I have no problem with Facebook, but I'm sure a lot of people do. So Meetup is another opportunity to be able to see what we're doing. If you go to meetup.com, again, you do have to sign in and, you log on, but you can log on as Superman if you want. It doesn't make a difference. You don't have to put a picture. But what's good about Meetup, and it's just Activists for Truth, go to Meetup, and then you put in there Activists for Truth, and it comes up. And if it doesn't, let me know, but it should. And we only have 29 or so people on there, yet I know we have a lot more people, and it'd be better to have more people on there for several reasons. It builds up your search, like it's good for other people when they come there. Our group would be included in more places if we had more people on there that are going there and looking at it and saying that you're going to the meetings, because a lot of you are. It also has all the information that you would see on Facebook, but it's on Meetup, and you can, see pictures and, get directions, and you have dialogue. You can even have a dialogue on there. So Meetup is a very useful tool. It's a little more exclusive because you pay every 6 months $75 for it, so I'm paying $72, and I want to continue, but we really need to utilize it more. It can be much more helpful. Okay, so let's meet up in that. Now, last week, there were a couple things that went on. We're a big advocate in this group of the Second Amendment. So important, very important. Take a look at all the countries that are having a lot of problems because they don't have guns, to defend themselves. And there's always that air around us that they're trying to take our guns away for a reason. It's happening in different states. In New York State, you can't have guns. It's happening around us. It's not like we're making this up. There is a gun grab, and we need to then go the other direction and go bold, which several of us are. I'm a supporter of it. I don't get to do these things physically all the time, but I'm totally supportive of the groups. There's several of them. You've got Open Carry Texas. You've got Come and Take It. And you've got those two mainly, right, that are actually organized groups. They're all doing the same thing, trying to expose the public to seeing people with guns. And most recently, maybe Brad would come up and mention what happened in Keller. And how often are they going to be doing it, do you know? And is it once a month? And there you go. And be watching us, because we'll be announcing them. Go ahead.
Hi there, my name's Brad. I went out to Keller, and there were actually 104 to 110 people that were out there at the event.
Yeah.
And we met at Home Depot, and they were very receptive to us meeting in the parking lot. We brought our flags and signs and banners, and it was just a wonderful experience. The weather was beautiful. We had a good breeze, so our flags were all, flying, so it was great for photo ops. We took a turn around the corner there, and they have basically in the middle of their town, it was like a 8-lane highway, 4 going one way and 4 the other, and it was just packed. So everyone was out, and it was just a wonderful experience. And everybody's honking and giving you the thumbs up, and so it's definitely not what a lot of people think, that we're going to be confronting the police and be SWAT teamed and carried off in a paddy wagon. It's not like that at all. And there's mom and dad and kids, and it's just a wonderful experience. So if you haven't had an opportunity to come out yet, we do the grassy knoll every third Saturday. We meet there at 10 o'clock, and we'll usually leave there and go down to Chipotle, the restaurant, walk right in with our rifles, and there's no one crawling under tables or panicking or anything like that. So anyway, just like to encourage you to come on out. You don't have to have a rifle, but just come on out and show your support. Yes.
Same one as the Stockyards one, or is that
That's a different, there's a couple of groups. Like she said, there's an Open Carry Texas. There is Katie, which is Come and Take It, which Murdoch has been our speaker here. That's the group that I work closely with. But I'm supporting any group that's about our Second Amendment. And Keller was Open Carry Texas. Yeah, and the guy that kind of helped spawn the movement, his name's C.J. Gresham, and his YouTube video went viral, 10 million hits, where he was in Temple, Texas, walking with his Boy Scout son, his 15-year-old son, down the side of the road, and was carrying his rifle, and somebody had called in with a complaint, and so the police unlawfully arrested him, and his son got it on video, and so anyway, he was present there too. So anyway, a lot of fun, interesting people. Thank you.
On the website, which is activistfortruth.com, we post photographs of these people. Usually they walk and they eat, and then they gather together for a really great photo op. And in Dallas, we mentioned this last week, that at the Grassy Knoll, which is Dealey Plaza, right down there in Dallas, they had I counted 24 in the picture. So, people sometimes don't make it in the picture, but that was a good turnout. And it's just, so what you were talking about in the stockyards, they're springing up in different areas. That's the Tarrant County one, the Fort Worth one. But if you do Open Carry Texas or CATI, you'll find the events there. Okay, so this last week, that's basically what David, is that basically what we did last week? Okay, but this last week, what I was trying to do more of was trying to plan ahead on our Mondays, so that people know who's coming and what they're going to be talking about. So we're going to try to keep ahead of the game here on the guests. Next week, Monday, we should have Roy Williams here. He's a guy in Dallas that's worked with several mayors. He knows the city council and how it works, and that's going to play right together with us going to the city hall on Wednesday with our fluoride, the thing that we're fighting for, getting fluoride out of the water. So we're going to talk about that on Monday quite a bit. But every meeting we'll be talking about fluoride, because that's our local mission, And this week I ordered some banners that should be here before Friday, and then I'll bring them to the meeting on Monday. There were 4 of them. This is one banner, which you all get one of these. Maybe Brad, you can, would you pass these out? Give everybody a couple. This is something I want y'all to hand out, because it's like a flyer, but also it's 2 of our banners, so y'all can see what the banners are going to be like. The banners are vinyl. They got grommets on it. We'll put some PVC pipe to make it easier to hold. Most of them are 3x3 or 2x3 feet, and you can see this one here. It has a water drop, clip art water drop, and it says, "We do not consent to be medically treated. Adding fluoride is unethical mass medicating. Activistfortruth.com. We meet weekly. Join us." That's an actual banner that'll be 3 foot by 2 foot. On the back of this, you'll see another banner that I had printed, And that one is, here you go, Brad, I need that for a second. Just one. Okay. On the back is another banner, and this is informative, and again, 3 by 3. The Dallas City Council in 1965 decided to add fluoride. A ballot vote of 27,080 upheld it in 1966. This 2014 Dallas City Council will be heroes when they vote to halt the addition due to the precautionary rule, and then visit fluoridealert.org. Fluoridealert.org is an amazing resource. The gentleman, Dr. Paul Connett, has written a book that has 80 pages of documentation to everything he talks about, and the website, and he has a Facebook too, but the website has great videos on there, helpful videos that we need to be informed as we're protesting for this, so if anyone asks us any questions. So y'all should go there. There's a 28-minute video. It's awesome. There is a local dental office. It's in Arlington, Pride Dental. Please go to their website too and see what they're putting on there, because they are actually informing their patients about fluoride. So the concept here, which I want to talk to you about, because Monday we'll talk again more about it, is that when I was talking to the Dallas City Council, and all over the country people are talking about getting fluoride out of the water. It really is a topic, and in some areas like Austin, they've been working on it a while, and they started before a lot of the good information had been out, before a lot of things had been published, because in 2010, 11, 12, and 13 is when there's been so much conclusive, hard evidence. And I think that's a bit to their, not to their benefit, because while they were fighting, they didn't necessarily have the tools. And once somebody says no to something and they're taking a stand, it's hard to get them to reverse their opinion sometimes. So in the Dallas area, there hasn't been a lot of pushing for this, so we're starting fresh. And I believe if we can approach them with a more positive attitude as to, hey guys, this is something that needs to be done, look at all the risks there are, and the pro-fluoride people, all they have is endorsements. Where's their science? Okay, now, so what I did was, I did a document search, because I wanted to see. They told me that it was a vote by the people that put the fluoride in 1966. That's kind of not exactly the way it went. In 1965, the city council on their own decided to put fluoride in the water. It wasn't a vote of the people. It was their decision. In the end of 1965, and then in January of 1966, there was an activist group called Greater Dallas Pure Water, okay? And they wanted to outlaw the use of fluoride. So they got the signatures together back then, and they got a ballot initiative done, and it said that, so in other words, they were trying to say that the fluoride in the water was illegal. So if you believe that, you had to vote, for this initiative. If you voted against the initiative, anyways, 37,000 people came out. 27,000 people said they wanted to have the fluoride in the water, okay? So they just were upholding what the city council had originally said. So that's a little bit different there, because in which case the city council can now take it out due to the precautionary rule, because if there's risk, that's what they're supposed to do. And what I'm contending is, if the pro-fluoride people want it in, they're the ones that need to get the signatures, not us. Okay, do you see the concept here? It's a good concept, and really play it through in your mind. They don't have the science. They're not going to be able to get the signatures for people to say they want it. So this is a perfect place for us to be. So the perfect places are coming into place. And I think if we approach, we have to get 9 out of the 14 people on the city council to agree. I know that Don Van Slythe was here last week. He said 8, but I was told from them. But, 1, I'm not sure. So we need to put the pressure on the individuals at the city council. John is going to be coming, another John is going to be coming, and he has printed up all the phone numbers of the city council people, and they need to get some nice, not you're evil, you're poisoning us necessarily, but something, you know what, You have this opportunity. You can do this. And you know what? If the science is there and the pro-fluoride people can get the signatures and they want to get it on the ballot, then they can put it back in, you know? So we need to work on that. And John, like I say, will be here. He made copies of all that. And if we all could call anybody who lives in the city of Dallas, you need to see who is your councilman. You know, Don was exactly right, and I've said this over and over again. Too many of us are, oh yeah, we're all for this, and you say, who's your congressman? Don't know. Who's your senator? Who's this? Who's that? A lot of people don't even know who they are. So, you know, you're an activist, but, you know, how informed are you? So, that's okay. So, we really need to put pressure on. And then on Wednesday, what we're talking about doing is having a sign protest. Like I say, this is one of our banners that we have. I have them made up in 3x3, and I was telling Eve. And so we have 2 other banners, vinyl banners. But if people just bring their own, that's real effective also. Handwritten signs are always, you know, with Ron Paul, that was one of the things that actually made it viral around the world, were some of the handwritten signs that people came up with. Look at that. That's just a regular piece of paper, and that is very effective, you know. Someone hand making something like that, just very clear. The main thing, and I remember with the Ron Paul thing, sometimes people write this whole constitutional amendment on there, and that's not going to work, you know. You know, you need to have it pretty plain. Now, I know my banners look a little wordy, but when you have something 3 foot, you know, that's a little different too. So we need to have a bunch of people there on Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock.
This Wednesday?
Wednesday the 5th. The 5th, yes. And we have flyers for everybody to hand out. Talk to people. This is a several-fold thing. You know, this isn't going to be one time. You know, we're going to do this, and then we have to, you know, keep pursuing and educating people to know if there is going to be a vote on the ballot or to push. So keep getting educated, know what you're talking about the fluoride. I have another type of handout that's a little smaller, and then one that's a little bigger. So bring them to the, you know, your grocery store or something, and hand them out as you're talking. I was driving in the car the other day, and I saw some Ron Paul people, and it was lucky I had some there and gave it to them, you know. So catch the people and hand them, you know, whenever you can. Okay, let's see what time it is here. David, what else we want to talk about? The speakers that we have coming up. So, okay, so the 3rd of March, we're going to have Roy Williams, City Council, talking about that, and we're going to move forward on the signs. I'm going to have some markers here and some poster board for anybody that wants to make some signs that day. I really want more commitments from people. I'm actually twisting the arm of my daughter, my son, or, you know, not twisting the arm, but I'm going to tell them this is the time, okay? This is the time, folks. We talk about it, and okay, lots of people might say, well, fluoride, it's bad, but do we really want to put our energy in that? Yes, we do. We really do. It's bad, and we can win this. We can do this because they don't have a leg to stand on. It's really true. We have to believe that, and we have to do it, and we have to show other people that we can do it too. This is really, really important, to give other people that boost that we can make a difference. You can fight City Hall, you know? It's very important, folks, and if you get that mindset, maybe you'll somehow figure how to make the extra time to do it. I know I was talking to Joanne. I want it to be something that's eye-catching. It's only 45 minutes because 8 o'clock will start. We got to end at 8:45 because people will be going into the city council chambers, which I'm not sure if that day I'm going to be able to be on or not. They're talking about whether, because I was there on February 5th before. Some people say March 5th I'm allowed. Some people say that's 2 days off. So I don't know. So I'm going to still go in this Thursday because when you sign up to speak at the city council, hi. When you sign up to speak at the city council, you have the best opportunity to get on the list if you call at 8:15 in the morning, the day after the last city council meeting. So since the city council meetings are on Wednesday, the next morning at 8:15 is when you can start calling to get your name on the list. The later you call, you lose your opportunities, okay? So I'm going to be there at 8:15 in the morning. I'm not even going to call. I'm going to be there at 8:15 in the morning and see if I can get on for February 5th, okay? It's 1500 Marilla, Marilla. The thing is right now there's another thing going on, which is really frustrating, and Bob's is going to be really irate, and he should be about this. We have some footage, and I want to use that. I'm going to put it together with something at some point, because the way it stands right now, it's a little complicated, so I'll say it slow, and I'll try to explain it as well as I can. In a 30-day period, a person can come speak before the council on any subject. You have 3 minutes to speak. Speak your mind, okay? There's 2 open mic times, before the session starts and at the end of the day, okay? And these 2 times, okay, on the first and the third Wednesday, they meet in a smaller briefing room. On the second week and the fourth week, they meet in the big chambers, okay? And on the 5th week, they don't have a city council meeting. So that's 4 times in a month, right? Okay, now, up till now, you were able to speak, if you called in early enough and the spots weren't full, 4 times in that month, because you can speak in the afternoon. But they limit you to 1 time speaking in the morning, because that's primo. You know you're going to speak between 9 and 9:30 approximately. In the afternoon, you speak after all the agenda items are done. So that could be, it was 4:30 when we were there the first time, but I was told it could be as late as midnight. It's whenever they're through with their agenda items, and then you get to speak. So you can see why it's a prime deal to have that 9 o'clock spot, the morning spot, okay? And they only give like 5 of those away. Now listen to this. They have just, since we were there last time, they talked in committee, and then they had a briefing, and then today they amended it again, that they are changing it to, you will only get to speak 1 time in a month, okay? Whether it be morning or afternoon. You only have 1 time in a month. So I talked to the district, what's he called? I had it all written down. I probably should find it. His name was John Rogers, I believe. And I was asking him, how does this work? I said, don't we have an opportunity to talk to the city council? Because this has happened like in like a 2-week period. This came up. They're voting on it. The city council is voting on it on the 26th, February 26th. I said, how do we have time to communicate to our, people about this when we just heard that this came up in a briefing? And they said, well, that you can make an appointment. He told me all the things you can do. You can make an appointment to talk to them. You can email them. You can call them. I have done all this since December with my councilman about other issues, about fluoride, just asking him if he would come and speak to us here. Just asking him the protocols and how things are done, I haven't gotten 1 call back from him. So that's troubling, right? Okay, and that's what I would have brought forward had I had an opportunity to talk before the city council. Well, this vote is coming up, and it's a closed vote among themselves. They are going to decide this on February 26th. And if it's in there, and they had the lawyers draw it all up, that it will pass. Because what they're using it under is the committee that they're saying that this gives more people an opportunity to speak. Because some people come all the time, and they speak about the same thing over and over again. So it's giving people more of an opportunity. That's what they're saying it is. Now, I contend that in the morning, if it's 5 people for 3 minutes, and say they even go a little long at one reason or another, what is that? 5 times 5 is 25 minutes out of their day. And then in the afternoon, they have a few. It's absurd that they can't offer us the opportunity, if we wanted to come and speak, that 4 times in the month. And we took the time to go make our appointment, and we got there, and we were diligent to follow the rules. Then why wouldn't they allow this to be done? And they're trying to say that, but it is what it is, but we need to fight that too, is what I'm trying to say. So now moving forward with our fluoride thing, we're just going to have more different people instead of some of the same people speaking. And we still need to fight this, I believe. We need to work on this. We need to see what committees are there. You can go to the Dallas City Hall website. on the left side and drop down, you'll see the different committees, see what committees there are. Several of the committees are like transportation and this kind of stuff. But if we could see a committee that could kind of somehow be sensitive to us, like something to do with the environment or something, we might be able to get to know the people on the committee and then something like that. If we could convince 5 city council people to bring this, any of one of our concerns, even this particular concern, as an agenda item, well, then we can speak as an agenda item, and that wouldn't count one of our one time in the month. So it's just all these ridiculous things. Go ahead, John, were you going to say something? Oh, I thought you were going to say something. Okay, I already told them that you were bringing the phone numbers. Oh, come on up here and talk.
Some of the people today.
People don't.
I called some of the people today, and I called some of the people today. I got a late start because I was passing out signs for Don Huffines for Texas Senate, and yes, they need your help. So if you can go call Don Huffines for Texas Senate, you can help pass out signs because they need people to distribute signs for them. He helped the Ron Paul campaign in the Texas Republican Convention back in 2012. So he's one of the Liberty candidates. He comes well recommended by a number of constitutionalists, and he's one of the candidates that would help make the Republican Party worth a damn. So we owe him because he's helped out, and we need to help him out in his fight against John Corona. But this is, I called some of the people and the secretaries. I was real friendly with the secretaries, and they seem to appreciate that, and you wish them a happy day, and they seem to reciprocate. So I'm going in with the idea, hey, they want to do the right thing. Let's treat them as if they want to do the right thing. Let's treat them as if they are, basically not out to try and screw us. Be friendly. Bring up that they took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, that the First Amendment and redress of grievances is part of that First Amendment, and that even if there's not a redress of a grievance, there's also people that have good ideas on how to make Dallas a better place. So protecting people's ability to come in more than once a month is honoring their oath to protect and defend the Constitution. So, and then thank them if they say, yes, we're going to vote against item 68, and that's the number. We might write that down on your piece of paper. Item 68, to vote against that, and also to make it a public vote. Those are the two things: make it a public vote and vote against item 68. And if they're cool with that, say thank you so much for supporting the Constitution and people's right to address you guys. And if they say no, say, well, I'm really disappointed. Don't be disrespectful. Don't take it out on the secretary that she didn't have anything to do with it. Just be cool about it, but say, I urge you to reconsider because this is very important. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you, John.
What was item 68?
68.
Item
That's
68 is voting if it was initiated, it will reduce the number of times that people who are part of the public will be able to address the city council with open microphone to only one time per month.
And that's the 26th. So what John handed out, which is good to keep as a reference, it's all the city council's phone numbers. If you go to the city hall website, you can get their emails also. But what he's saying is, and I totally agree, we need to start calling tomorrow and putting your comments into each one of these guys that you know that they're coming up for a vote, and we're going to be seeing how they voted, And then after that gets done, then we need to be calling them about fluoride, that, come notice us outside, come talk to us. We'll be out front on Wednesday the 5th. Come talk to us, which, by the way, between now and then, folks, I am going to be, I had already talked to Mark Davis in person, and I asked him if he would, I'm fighting fluoride, and I'm going to be calling him, so I'm going to talk to his producer and try to get 3 or 4 minutes on there talking about next Wednesday. The Power Hour, a lot of you guys know her and everything. Again, I'm going to ask her if I can have 3, 4, 5 minutes. You can say an awful lot in 3, 4 minutes, I don't want to, we can get the point out there, and she'll probably, I'm pretty positive she'll be supporting us. I want that to be a little closer because, people forget things. I might even try to set it up to be done on Monday. But between now and then, folks, if there's an opportunity, try to call into some of these shows, I mean, any exposure we get is good exposure. Again, the ones that are on Facebook, a lot of these shows, Alex Jones and them, they have, they have Facebook posts and stuff. Think of ways to get more people to know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then once we get the YouTubes, we want to blast those out too because we'll get footage of it. So that'll be awesome. We are going to do a press release. Tomorrow I'm going to send a press release because I know that 4, 5, 8, and 4, 5, and 8, maybe 11 too, but they're there anyways for the city council. So I know several of them were nice to me. A lot of the reporters, it's that rapport you can build. Don't be a crazy person. Don't be angry. It's the same idea with open carry. Be intelligent. Stay away from the things that you know are going to be the catch things. Don't start saying that they're trying to make us a docile, people. No, there's enough other things you can talk about. It might be true. It is true, but that's not the point. Let's stick with the ones that it's a drug. It's against our. We have not consented to it. I think it's really big. Eva wasn't here, but I'm really excited about the fact that it was only 27,080 people voted for this almost 50 years ago. That's absurd that this is still affecting the 1.5 million people in Dallas right now. It's so blatantly easy to turn, in my opinion, because it's so amazingly absurd, And Eve, my contention is they need to turn it back just like they added it and let the pro-fluoride people get the signatures. I don't want to have to, like someone said, be on the offensive, not the defensive, He was saying it in other regards, but it's so true. When they're talking about getting us down to 1 time a month, we say, no, we want 10 times a month, Do you know what I mean? Or whatever, It's the other concept of it is, can we go back to 5? No, you know what? You brought up a good point. We should have more time because when I first heard about this, they were talking about reducing the minutes too, to 2 minutes. When I first heard about it from the gentleman that was here, he was discussing that 2 minutes, 3 minutes is hard enough. I mean, you can get your thing out there, but for people that don't speak all the time, you waste a little bit again, you waste a little bit in the end, and 2 minutes is hard to get it concise. So I think that's absurd. Anyway, so, okay, I think we're getting close to our speaker's time. Pretty close. I'll still touch on, I don't want to go over, so, but I do want to talk about the things, the topics that are coming up. I'm very excited, and I'm passionate about so many things, but on the 3rd, okay, one more time, the 3rd is Roy Williams, City Council. We'll probably discuss this vote. The 26th, we'll talk about how we can tackle it. We're going to be talking about fluoride, making signs, pumping everybody up for Wednesday, finding out the commitments of people that you have, got commitments from. And then the next Monday, hemp. I'm real excited about hemp. It's unbelievable. A hemp can change the lives of everybody. It can turn everything around. There's like 2,000 things hemp is good for. We use hemp products, but we are giving that gross domestic product money to other countries, yet it's banned here to grow. It's, again, so absurd. There's already been, I have the figures, and I'm so sorry, I don't like doing it like that, but I believe it's 9 states that are nullifying it or they're bringing awareness, like big awareness, like they're making a tweak to it in some way, shape, or form. Some out and out have nullified the federal ban, like Kentucky. And I'm sorry, again, I'm speaking normally. I like to have those things really. But guys, I have it. Okay, so on the Facebook, on the Meetup, we link those things. Again, it goes back to if you're not on Facebook, join up Meetup. Because when we post an event, we have these other information things on there so that you can see what I'm talking about, But hemp is awesome, and I have a gentleman that I'm still pursuing because he produced a movie, and it's a movie that's already out there. He had wanted to speak to us, and this movie has Woody Harrelson and Willie Nelson in it. Of course, my brain always goes, if he's made a movie with this, with these people, Willie Nelson is so close. That's an event in the making, I mean, he has the connection. He probably, so Willie Nelson is a very big proponent for marijuana too, decriminalization of marijuana, but also the hemp, which there's two different things, but the hemp is just awesome. Okay, that's hemp, and that'll be that. And then the next one is 9/11. Okay, so that'd be the 17th. Oh, Joe Stokes. Joe Stokes has been a very long-time supporter of exposing 9/11. It kind of goes in waves. People don't talk about it much, and then they talk about it a lot. Right now, you haven't heard much about it again. I think it's maybe due to the time of year. Last time it was JFK. But it's something that still can open people's eyes. There's still people that maybe still couldn't believe or don't want to believe that, our government was involved definitely in the situation, and also that the official story is not correct, okay? So we still need to push for another investigation, a new investigation on that, and that's real important. And I always have on our website that the 9/11 group meets on Thursdays at Barbeck's. They've been doing this for 10 years, 12 years, a long time, every Thursday at 7 o'clock. They're very faithful in producing DVDs. They've produced about 60,000, and they've handed them out for free. They never charge. So, and that's what they do at these meetings sometimes. They're stuffing the little envelopes with the DVDs or putting the stickers on them, and they do them like 300-400, and then they look for these events where they hand them out, which is really admirable, and I want to have him here so he can talk about new things that are going on with the Building 7. Rethink 9/11 was something that really did really good last year. Billboards, we had a billboard in Dallas. Many of you saw it. Some of you, I did, contributed to it. And they did a good job with that. So that's that. Then on the 24th? Okay. I am the 24th. Well, on the 15th of March, there is going to be a geoengineering global walk for chemtrails and geoengineering. I wish I could get this girl. Okay, her name is Christian Megan. She is a former Air Force young lady. I guess, what do you call it? Air Force. Anyways, person. And while she was in the Air Force, she was working with biochemistry and exposing different things, and that was her job. She needed to check levels and stuff, and she started seeing the things that were going on, and that the Air Force was using the planes to distribute these chemicals and stuff. And they threatened her subtly to the way of saying, are you stressed out? Are you stressed out? You could be under psychological stress thing for like 120 days. We can put you on that. But you have that little girl, and she was divorced at the time. Who would take care of your little girl? And she knew the intimidation they were using on her, and she was still in the Air Force. And she knew you don't get to get out of things sometimes. She brings up the name of, Bradley Manning, and it's true. You're a whistleblower, especially if you're in the military. Like a lot of people know, you give up your rights. It's not like you're a normal citizen, She's out now, and she's talking. And what I want to do, I don't know how close she is to here. I have her email. I mailed her about Skyping her in, if nothing else. We'll Skype her in. So we'll Skype her in on the 10th. And, okay, so I'm losing my days here, David.
March 10th is hemp, March 17th is...
Okay, that's what I was going to do. What I'm going to do, we'll still talk about hemp. I will get somebody here who is passionate about hemp. If it's not this man, it'll be somebody. And there's a lot of associations. Actually, Hemp History Week is June 2nd to the 8th. I've already signed up that we are going to do something that week. It's far enough out. I mean, we're going to have, it's like a music event. It'll be nice. It'll be bigger. It'll be an outside event. We'll have vendors and stuff like that. And they're trying to do it all over the country that same week. So that should be pretty good. Meanwhile, between now and then, there's a lot of Facebook websites and people, and I'm sure through that I'm going to be able to get someone, if I can't get this gentleman, and we'll split the time. Because if she can Skype in, I would really like to Skype her in before we do that March 15th, March, which is on a Saturday. Which week is that? That's not the third week, is it?
Yes.
It's the third Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay, this might play good. It could play good. The third Saturday of the month is open carry. They meet at 10 until 2, and that's at Dealey Plaza. This march against geoengineering and chemtrails is at 2 o'clock at City Hall. So we can play that together. We'll have people down there. We might be able to group this together somehow. Yes, sir.
There's a big walk down in Temple for C.J. Grissom that day.
The third Saturday of the
The
month?
15th of March is the anniversary.
Oh. There seems,
17th, which
it's the 15th.
15th is a Saturday.
Geoengineering is the 15th, and it's a Saturday. Yeah.
State convention is going to be the first week of June,
Okay.
so
Okay. Good point. Well, this global walk against geoengineering is national. This is a national event that they're doing in a lot of cities. Now, the Grisham thing, this has been difficult for me with the open carry. Quite often, poor Dallas, we've always had it third Saturday of the month. That's when they went to San Antonio. That's when they went to Austin. Now they're doing this one, which this is an anniversary, I know. But so often our Dallas one, but it's still good, even if there's 2 people, like Brad said. We have several faithfuls that'll be there. And with this geoengineering thing, in our neighborhood here, I think we support it, but I don't know. However, but anybody wants to do it. I'm the libertarian in this, right? People do what they want to do. But the thing is this young lady is powerful. What I did, so now again, sign up for the meetup, go to Facebook. I put the link to her 21-minute YouTube. She was in an event in January, I think the 21st or something like that, which was sponsored by Oath Keepers and a local candidate. I'm not sure what city or state she's from. I'm trying to find that out. Maybe she's close enough, and she might Skype in on that 10th and maybe give us a little 15-minute primer, whatever. Her name is Christine Mulligan. How do you spell it? Melghan, I believe. Is that correct? Christine Mulligan. How do you spell her name? Oh, Megan. Meghan. Megan. Sorry. I think I said it right the first time. But anyways, like I say, I've already put some communication into her. She wants to get her story out. She's very tense when she talks, and she cries a little. And she said, I'm scared. I'm just so passionate about this, and she's just been doing this. I know she's the whistleblower a lot of people had heard about before, but she's coming out strong and knows she needs to, and this is really, really true. Do we have something after that? No? Okay, so, but I'm gonna get them lined up that far in advance so you guys can decide if that's something you're interested in, get people here for it or whatever. And as you can see, there's a lot of diversity. I would like to mention that voting is March 4th, and that is really important. I too am for Don Huffines. I have a map, and I'll head it out here in a second, that shows the 5 senators in this Dallas area. There's 5 senators that take in parts of Dallas County, and so probably one of them is yours. But the 16th senatorial district is Don Huffines. I've been watching a lot of candidates over the years. Most of them can't beat the incumbent really well, but he's doing a great job. He has a lot of young people in his campaign. He's getting out there. He's doing an excellent job. I think he's got a real good chance. But either way, it's great to support him. On Wednesday, I'm going to actually do block walking for him around here. you know, it's song. I'm going to get a few people, because he's my congressman too. And I'll have signs, and we can drop them off in people's yards and stuff. So the best time to catch people is around, 5 to 7 or 8, depending on if it gets dark. So call me. Yeah, everybody should have my phone number. Call me if you're interested. We can hit it together right around here. Meanwhile, excuse me, sweetheart? It's this Wednesday. Because next Tuesday is Election Day. That is March 4th. I mean, early voting is over. That ended last week. So now you got to wait to the real primary day. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I can't stay longer. I can leave at 8. I have a bunch of Huffines yard signs in
Great.
the car. If anyone needs them, tell me now so I can bring them in.
Would you bring them in? Bring in at least 10. But bring in at least 10. They say that every yard sign is 6 votes, and I believe in putting 2 yard signs in a yard. Because as people drive by, you kind of see it, but if there's even a 10 or 12 foot difference from the first time you see it to the second time, I think it seals the deal, kind of, sort of, in my opinion. So he'll bring in at least 10 or 12. I mean, we should be able to get rid, use them, Good deal. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Okay. So, what other things? Guys, I'm always talking about supporting other events. We're always out there looking to see who we, what we can outreach at. And Marjorie is also always wonderful at telling us those things. So you can come up here for a minute and tell us. Don't go too far out,
No, I'm not.
because sometimes it's so far.
Just going this week.
Okay, no, even 2 weeks or 3, that's good, but not past that. And David will try to capture these, right, David? Okay, let me get out of the way here.
Okay, this Wednesday at 7:30, a fella named David Kaplan is going to talk about food additive issues at UTD. It's part of the same series as the Food Inc. Screening a month ago, and later in April, a talk about GMOs, which is critical of them. But this Wednesday, in the same place where that screening was, which is Johnson Performance Hall in the Johnson Building. It's the building with the big orange jack in front of it. It's at 7:30 p.m. So if anybody is interested in that. And Thursday night at 6:30 at Picasso's Pizzeria on Inwood, just north of Forest, is an air quality meetup, which meets intermittently every once in a while. So they'll be discussing public health issues regarding the air. And on Saturday is a Prometheus Project anti-GMO meeting, which is a monthly meeting. And the Prometheus Project is the Dallas affiliate of the Institute for Responsible Technology. And that meeting is Saturday at 3 at Park Cities Yoga, which is on Royal Lane, just a tad west of Preston. It's in a 2-story building, and on the first floor is a couple of restaurants and an Oric vacuum. You just go into the lobby area and either go up the stairs or elevator, and in one of the offices on the second floor is Park Cities Yoga. So that's what I have for this coming week.
Do you have anything for the next week or not really? What about
Not really.
The Trans-Pacific Partnership is kind of on hold?
Well, I don't have anything current for that right now. There was a big rally a couple of weeks ago, which I think about 70 people came out during lunch hour downtown, and that got media coverage, but I'm not aware of any follow-up right away. But there is a Facebook page, and I recommend people, even if you establish a pseudonymous account, to go on to that page and become a member and post anything you might hear or like things that you like posted there.
Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you. Marjorie's an activist. Marjorie goes to a lot of events. Just talking about our Facebook, again, I know it seems like I'm really pushing Facebook, but we're now up to like almost 1,200 likes on our Facebook page. And people have to like it to do that. It's not like some things where you can add friends, some of the ones you can. This people have to go there and like it. And the way we post things, you can see how much interaction you're getting. And we're getting about 5,000. Can you kind of go to our thing, or is it too hard for you to get to it right now? Don't worry. Next week we'll talk about that. But literally, some of our posts that we have on there are getting 2,000 and 3,000 clicks. They're looking at it, they're passing it forward and stuff like that. So it's a free tool, I mean, this advertising would be great if we had money. Don Huffines did a wonderful job with handouts and stuff, but that takes money. A lot of this printing does. So we got to take advantage of the things that we have at our disposal. Okay, disposal, right? It's called disposal? Yeah. What, honey?
One thing, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I forgot one thing. Also, this Saturday is a National Day of Action against corruption, getting money out of politics, and I think there's going to be a rally 11 a.m. this Saturday in front of City Hall, so that'll allow time to participate in that and then head on for the Prometheus Project meeting. Darn, I almost forgot about it because it's kind of last minute.
Well,
In
okay.
Dallas.
Send me those links, and then I'll repost them. Oh, John's. And we had an update on our farm people here. You had some baby goats today. Oh, that's awesome. Well, the day after, so they were here talking about. You had three, and we posted those, right? Yeah, I did post those. But then today, is this the new girl?
This is our third girl, yes.
You're-
She had twins.
Twins today. That twin boys?
Twin boys.
And the other was 3 girls. So
And
that's really.
The second one, she had 4. She had
Okay, so you had 9 baby goats, just, right?
Yes.
9 baby goats just since you were here, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or so? That's incredible. Now, does that mean that on the 5th, you don't have to worry about that girl giving birth?
Well, we still got one more that should bring quads.
Wow, they are really, and this is so exciting, guys. I'm telling you, I knew these people before they really had goats. They had some chickens, and if they're doing it and they're showing you that you can do it, and that this is wonderful. I mean, it's a good, wonderful thing all the way around. Yes, sir.
Probably think of a date when we can have everybody out, so.
I would love that. I'm Italian, and I love things that are like a party. To go out to their little backyard, it's just incredible. It's so cute, and we could have a little get together.
All you said was that they're your farm people. Tell us.
Oh, did you miss their presentation? Oh, will you give us a couple minutes, please? Tell us what you're doing. We have a presentation that you were here 3 weeks ago or so. David would know when you were here. And it's filmed, but it hasn't been downloaded. But it will be on the presentations. They were here for an hour. Okay, the link then. Okay, link. It is downloaded, I saw it. It is downloaded. Okay. Where did you see it from? Okay, help me with that. We're working on it, guys. We're working on it. We need to always get these to David so that David can get them on the website. The website will have all these presentations. But this is Bob Smiley. I want to tell you, activism works, guys. I've been an activist, and handing out these flyers, guys. Joanne is here and she's been coming regular because I handed her a flyer at a Ted Cruz event, Then she came. And then the Smileys, they were going to a Ron Paul thing, and I gave them a flyer. And I just thought it was so cute. They have the cutest family, and their last name is Smiley. And I just stuck because I'm horrible with names. But this is Kim and Bob Smiley. So just a couple minutes. You want to? He likes you to be up there with him.
What we did is we realized that our tomatoes weren't tasting like tomatoes at the grocery store, so we want to start our own garden. We started some chickens, just a few chickens for the kids to play around with, and saw the production of the chickens. So we're up to probably 40, 50 chickens. And we've made a little farm that we've got a dairy farm now, dairy goats. We've got meat rabbits. We're doing meat chickens. We're doing tilapia. It's not all producing everything just yet, but we've got our own milk coming in, our own eggs, our own meat from the rabbits, and it's self-sustaining. The 2 goats that were born today should bring $1,200, and that's going to pay for most of the hay for the year. So it takes a lot of work. We've built everything. We've repurposed everything, all the barns, all the coops. But we're actually starting to eat off our farm. So we don't buy any more eggs. Matter of fact, we sell eggs so we can buy the feed. But we'll have y'all out. We'll figure out a date and have a picnic or something, and it'll be fun.
That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, and this is Kim, and they're good friends of mine too. And they homeschool, and they have the best kids, and they're gonna be out there on the 5th, so you get to see the family, right? Or some of them, depending on if that mama goat has her babies.
Right.
You know, they had to learn a lot. I mean, were either of you guys farm people? Did you have farm? No? Because what I think is so amazing is all the words they know. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, I guess, like when the lady goat's having what's it called? Kidding. Well, they're kidding, and they've got.
Freshen.
There's all these
Bucklings or dolings.
bucklings or dolings. Yeah, I know, but they know all this stuff, and that's like too cool. And they're teaching their kids the whole process, and her daughter is just marvelous. So, anyways, that's activism, and it can be done. It really can. It's awesome. Okay, so and on Wednesday, pump yourself up. We're going to have a good time on Wednesday. We're going to have some music, and Hank, this other guy, is a singer, and Rick Warden, I'm sure. And there's 4 sides to City Hall, and we can walk around it, and we're going to be a good, positive spectacle. Okay, so that's what I'm looking forward to. And I'll keep reminding you guys. But for right now, Raylean is here. Raylean came because a friend of Activists for Truth, Eve, invited her. And I remember the day she came. She came and she had no idea what Activists for Truth was. She didn't know if it was a religious group or what it was. And she said, I decided I would sit through it. You know, I didn't know what to expect. And this isn't necessarily her line of, things to do. But what she liked was she sat between a lot of us good activist people, and she liked the people here, and she felt welcome and good, and she could see what we were doing is right. And now there's a platform for her to talk about one of her passions. She has several, and I want you guys to let me know, what are you passionate about? What are you doing? What are you working on? What do you think there needs to be a focus of? Do you know of someone who has a radio show, which, by the way, Aladask has a new time that he's on. He's still on, Aladask. Awesome guy, smart guy. Check our presentation. It's on the website. Go under presentations. He talks about man is not an animal, I guess is what you'd say. Okay. It's awesome. It can be used as a defense for many things, and it's awesome, and we need to retouch on that again so that it's ours and we can use it, you know what I mean? But so he has a radio show that's on from 3 to 4, Monday through Friday, AM radio 1480. Okay, it's in your car, that kind of radio. Okay, but he's on Sunday. You got the info on Sunday?
It's Tuesday. It's on Tuesday night.
I heard it was it's Tuesday night. Tuesday night, it's on Republic.
Maybe it's Aladask Law.
Aladask Law. Okay, I'll get more information on it. It's very new, and I'll have it for you. And again, it'll be on our website. Go to our website and look under contacts. If at any time someone wants to call me, my contact information is there. David is getting this email list better all the time. After we have a meeting, he's going to send out a lot of what we talked about. Last week, this gentleman was here, Larry, and he talked about this flame retardant stuff. I just forgot to order. I'm going to order it, and I'm going to share it with everybody. It sounds fantastic, but the link for it was sent out to everybody. If you're not getting a weekly email from us talking about these important things, let David know. Make sure that it's right and everything. I talked long today, and I'm sorry. But Raylean was worried she couldn't fill up the time, so this is about where I wanted to go with it. Raylean Stewart, I would love you to come forward and come speak to us about the horrible situation of human sex trafficking, and she has been working against this, and she's going to bring us some information, and we'd like you to welcome Raylean. Hi, honey. Is my clip out of the way? Here we go.
That's so much stuff.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Well, I wish this was a happy topic, but it isn't. So, hopefully, it'll be all right. I'm working with human trafficking, and it's something, I don't know, the Lord laid on my heart years ago. I don't know why. Human trafficking, prostitution, all that. They're all kind of commingled. They're all kind of intertwined. And but human trafficking can be either labor trafficking or sex trafficking. You know, there's different types of human trafficking. And what I'm focusing on mainly is the sex trafficking part. And so I started out when we met this woman, Carol Marie, who I knew from before. And she was an ex-prostitute, and she was ministering in strip clubs. So that's how I got finally to get my feet in the door and start actually working toward getting involved with the sex trafficking. So the people I was involved with at that time at Convergence Church in Fort Worth, we started going to the strip clubs and ministering to the dancers and things in the strip clubs. And from there, the lady that was over the group, she ended up going to Thailand, where they were doing an outreach for human trafficking, for the sex trafficking. So she brought that to the group, and then she took several trips to Thailand through the church, where we could actually, try and locate women and help them get out of the sex trafficking. And they have a lot of ministries over there in Thailand who are doing that. And so, prostitution and the whole thing is so interwoven over there. It's just really hard to separate the two over there. There's so much of prostitution and the sex trafficking. So anyway, from there, from going to Thailand a couple times, during that period in 2009, a local group here, Traffic 911, a local woman from the area started a ministry called Traffic 911 over here. And so the woman I was with in doing all these outreaches with, she had got involved with this group. It kind of brought us in, some of us in, we kind of got involved with the group too through that affiliation. And so we were doing outreaches on the streets and stuff, trying to minister to the prostitutes while we were trying to keep an eye out for any children who might be being trafficked, because trafficking is actually considered anyone under 18. Anyone over 18, they don't consider, if they're in prostitution, that it's trafficking. But if they're under 18, they consider it as being trafficked against your will type of thing. So I started doing that. So we were doing outreaches on the streets, and then from there, Traffic 911 was doing juvenile detention outreaches. And so I started doing juvenile detention outreaches. I haven't been doing them for a year yet, but it's been something new. The other things we were doing, just Christians were just getting together. It really wasn't, the street outreaches weren't under the heading of Traffic 911. It's just different Christians were getting together and doing all that. And so, but the juvenile detention outreaches are under specifically the heading of Traffic 911 that I'm doing. And so, so what I'd like to do is, tell y'all different facets of human trafficking, what it looks like, what happens to the girls, it's girls and boys, sorry. It's not just girls. Right now, Traffic 911, the outreaches at the juvenile detention centers are mainly focused on girls, but we're starting to incorporate the boys. So we're going to start reaching out to the boys too, and they're starting to do mentoring for the girls coming out of detention centers. and they're going to start doing mentoring for boys. And so, there's just more and more needs coming up that they're doing. And they do internet surveillance where they try to locate the girls on the internet who are being trafficked, and if they can try and rescue them. So, but our main focus at the Juvenile Detention Center is to equip the girls to avoid the traps and tricks of traffickers. So that's our main focus, because most of the kids in juvenile detention are very vulnerable and very at risk of being trafficked. And and then we teach them to recognize, we give them a program. We do a slideshow, and it teaches them all about, the methods that are used to try and entrap them in this kind of stuff. And then we just become, we just do activities with them, fun activities for them. And, and they'll start opening up to us because we're not authority figures. And, we're just there mainly out of concern for them because they are very vulnerable. And so they'll start opening up to us, and sometimes they'll tell us their stories, and sometimes after we've seen them for weeks, they'll start telling us, even more of their stories. And if we discover during that time that they are actually being trafficked, because it doesn't necessarily show up when they get, put in the juvenile detention. And so if we discover from their story that they tell us, that that they are being trafficked, or something is going on with them that's not, that is along those lines, then we're able to get them the help, the counseling, the intervention they need. And now Traffic 911 has a safe house they have opened up. And so it's like one of the very few safe houses in the U.S. There's less than 10 in the whole U.S. for sex trafficking victims. And so there is one here in this area. And so now they have somewhere where they can house the girls. And I know they have a couple at the house already, and it just opened up, I think it was in December that it opened up. So anyway, this is a global problem. It's not just a local problem. And there are many organizations out there. Shared Hope International is one, and they come up with a lot of research, a lot of statistics, a lot of facts about what's going on globally and in the U.S. And so that has, benefited Traffic 911. There have been resources to connect with to help them. And so the definition of sex trafficking is actually the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for the purposes of a commercial sex act. Domestic minor sex trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act where the person is a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident under the age of 18. And exploitation is the illegal use of a child or the resources of a child for personal or monetary benefit, profit, or gain. So slavery, where they get picked up and where, they get taken from, here's some of the places. Truck stops, nail salons, online internet services, massage parlors, strip clubs, pornography, migrant workers, housekeepers, childcare, restaurants, and prostitution. So the kids who are trapped, these are the places that they're used for sex trafficking in those areas. And if you want to try and identify someone, who might be being trafficked. You might run into someone, you never know. But some of the signs that can kind of give you an idea that these people are being trafficked are that they live with an employer, they have poor living conditions, maybe there are multiple people in a crammed space. They really can't speak to you alone, they're always scared. They have signs of physical abuse. They're real fearful. They're real submissive. A lot of times the girls, for sex trafficking in particular, have tattoos all over them. And they brand them with barcodes even. So why do you think they might put barcodes on them?
Property.
Yeah, because that's a sign that they're their property. They're their chattel. And they put daddy on them, or daddy's girl, or all kind of, it's just different things that they brand all their, anyone that's in their fold, which is their group of girls that they're trafficking, they have them branded. And the average age that children are lured into sex trafficking is 13. And they said in Tarrant County it's about 14. But, children are trafficked, unfortunately, at all ages. There's even babies, babies sold on the markets for all kind of awful things. And men, they have men who pay high dollar for girls who are virgins. And so those girls are kept in very secret conditions, very dark, seedy places, no windows, no nothing. You have to pay a lot of money to get to them. And most of those girls are, 10, 9, 11, some of them 8. And like in Thailand, when we went to Thailand, we were trying to find the area where those hidden children were, And so we did find an area one time where they were, and it was, a group of dark buildings, and we were told they were in there. You can't get to them, you can't see them, it's very difficult. To really get to those kind of children who are being held specifically because they're grabbed so young, and they're being held specifically because they are virgins to be sold at high dollar prices, you really have to be on the streets, working it. It's a regular thing. The people who are really rescuing those children are, it's their full-time, a full-time focus, for them. So it's, it's pretty sad. So, but when we were in Thailand and we saw that area, we did drive around the area several times, and we were singing praises, the praises of God out into the atmosphere to try and shift the atmosphere, just a little bit, because those girls are crying out for, to God, for help and for rescue. And I believe, that God, He does open little moments of time, where some can't, do get to escape. But unfortunately, the statistics are that 99% of them never escape, and never, once they're trapped into this, once they're taken, they never escape. And the lifespan is only 7 years. So once they're taken, within 7 years, they're going to be dead. So be dead. Their lifespan's like 7 years, because of all the physical abuse, all the drug abuse, the what?
Torture.
The torture, yeah, they're beaten,
Are there prisons in Dallas?
Yeah, that are being trafficked, yeah. Yeah, there are places in Dallas. All these kind of places that I read are places anywhere globally that you can find girls who are being trafficked, you
The
know.
ones that work hard for the nail salons here?
Hmm. Yes. Some of those girls will be trafficked, yeah, at your nail salons. Yeah.
Because you wonder how can they do nails for so cheap? You know? It wouldn't even be a living wage.
Now, they may not be being sex trafficked, they could be being labor trafficked, you know, where they are, where it's the labor, you know, where they're not getting, you know, where they're getting low wages. You know, they bring them over, you know, they say, well, you know, they entrap them, they say, you know, we'll give you a better life in America, you know, it'll cost this much money, you come over, once you've earned that much money, we'll let you, you know, you can have your own life, we'll pay your way, you can pay us back by working. But they never get paid back. You know, they just keep them and keep them and keep them. Because there's always another story they tell them why they haven't paid their debt yet, you know. Well, it costs so much to feed you, and you know they're not being fed anything. You know, it costs so much to clothe you. Well, they're not getting any clothes, and the housing is so expensive. So not only did you pay back, you only pay back that much of your debt, and we had all these expenses on you this month, and you only earned this much, you know, so you just have to. So it's a really sad and a really vicious cycle. Labor trafficking or sex trafficking, you know, it's very difficult. And then, especially the labor trafficking, you know, they tell them, you know, there's nowhere you can go, you're an illegal here. You know, you're going to get picked up, they're going to put you in jail, they're going to send you back. You're going to get in trouble, we aren't, you know, and no one's going to believe you. I mean, they have them brainwashed. I mean, they have psychologically and methodically brainwashed them, either for labor trafficking or sex trafficking. You know, they're very good at it. They know what they're doing. They're, you know, one ex-trafficker that the people from Traffic 911 have been able to speak to, you know, he kind of told them, he said something along the lines that, you know, we're in the business of trapping girls. They don't have a chance because we spend 24/7, you know, thinking and planning how we can capture them, and you know, so it is something that is very methodical, very planned out, and now it's very high tech. The traffickers have all the latest equipment, all the latest technology. You know, they have links from here to there, everywhere in the U.S. You know, they're always moving the girls. You know, the girls are never kept more than a couple weeks in one place, and they have connections all across the U.S. and with their internet. You know, and they have you know, just multitudes of resources, you know, how they can get them out from one place to the next. And, you know, a lot of your major sporting events, trafficking goes on a lot during your major sporting events, unfortunately. And, you know, the Super Bowl is one of your major times when trafficking goes on. And it's a $32 billion industry. It's more than Nike, Google, and somebody else combined. Trafficking is. They make that much money. It's the second largest crime, but within a year, they expect it to become the #1 crime. It's going to surpass drugs, illegal drugs.
This has been epidemic. Was it epidemic 30 years ago, or
I would think so. I think it's been around for so long.
we just know more about it?
We're just, you know, I think there are waves, you know, in God's timing where it becomes really the forefront and really becomes highlighted. And, you know, that's been going on the last 10, 15 years where it's really coming to the forefront and really being highlighted. Because, you know, it's so many of your foreign countries, you know, there's trafficking everywhere, you know, and, you know, even in the garment industry, you know, where a lot of our garments are made overseas. and the businessmen from America go over there to look at the plants and to see what's being made and stuff. Well, a lot of the owners, they have usually young girls working in the plants, because there are usually not laws against that over there like there are here. And so when there are foreign visitors coming into the plant and there's those young girls there, that ends up becoming a part of their job too, is to be escorts, for the visitors. So they're labor and sex trafficked, at the same time. Yes.
A couple of common questions. How effective and to what extent are the various law enforcement authorities really attacking this problem? That would be the first question. And the comment would be, well, I guess another question. You can't turn on the TV or pick up a magazine or newspaper without seeing something about the drug trade. But as far as human trafficking, that's not something that comes across your radar a lot. Why do you think that is?
Because it's so well hidden and it's so entrenched in so many avenues. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's because there's so much commingling of regular prostitution and the trafficking at the same time, and there's so much. There's a lot of mindsets. Some people don't see. Well, I wouldn't have sex with a 16-year-old as that's trafficking. They say, well, they're 16, they're definitely old enough in my opinion. So I think a lot of it is societal, in those areas where people who are searching for that and looking for that kind of thing, it's very societal.
Sex trafficking rings in our police force, like there are drug, unfortunately our police force is involved in the whole drug.
Yeah, I'm sure in all law enforcement you'll find it. Right now, though, there's a lot of Homeland Security's real involved. Traffic 911 is very involved with a lot of the law enforcement agencies, with the U.S. government and with the city and the counties. And so they are getting a lot of support for the things that they're doing. And they've got the ear of, the top people in all these organizations, and all, Dina has to do is pick up the phone and call, and
Don't you think that maybe some of these political people and people that are in law enforcement are letting it happen, maybe involved with not pretending to, because if it's so quiet and everything, but it's going on and becoming so big, it seems to me that there could be some political or...
Yeah, I mean, I've read a little bit about the nuggets of some of the Christian groups that don't know that actually the police are in on it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Law enforcement everywhere is in on it. Government everywhere is in on it. Yeah.
Sex trafficking is a benign part of the trafficking business. There are three other aspects that are very real. I know two people who are very involved in trying to fight it. One is that children are sold to occult groups for sacrificial rites. Another is that children and grown-ups even are sold for the making of snuff films. Some insane people get a big high off watching someone actually killed on video. And then the one that is a lot bigger, I think, than most people would even want to think about is having them harvest body parts from them.
Yeah.
Now, I've met two guys who were involved in this.
Albert, if you've got that much to say on the topic.
Forget it, John.
No, I'm just
You're always
saying,
in the middle
I
of
would
it.
rather have you up at the microphone there. Maybe you could do 5 minutes on that.
I've probably said enough. I get really wound up on that.
Yeah, I do too. I'll have some comments afterwards. I'm not trying to say.
Well, I have not researched any of those areas, okay, and I have not been involved in any of those areas, so I'm sure they exist. I'm sure every form of human abuse and mutilation on this planet exists because Satan does not bar any hold on the length he's going to go to destroy us, and to start with our children from baby on up. I mean, that is his whole focus. to kill, steal, and destroy. And any type of barbarous or horrible method that you can think of to destroy humans, I'm sure is going on today and has been going on, since the beginning, So, yeah, so I'm not surprised that all that is happening.
Speak loud.
I'm not sure if you went over this and I just blanked on it, but I know there's groups like Operation Underground Railroad, groups like that. A lot of people aren't really sure what to think of groups like that because they're like, oh, they're working with the government of said region, whether it be international or domestic. What are your thoughts?
Well, like I said at the beginning, there are a lot of groups out there who are combating this and who are trying to make some inroads and to rescue at least some people, some children, and so I think it's all good. I just happen to work with Traffic 911, which is local, which is in Dallas. That's what I'm doing specifically. I'm not working with Shared Hope International or some of the other ones like the Underground Railroad. And they have the international ones. In Thailand, like I said, there are a lot of groups out there, a lot of ministries out there that is their focus, ministering to the prostitutes and trying to find the children who are being trafficked. Because they're bringing them in from everywhere over there, Sweden, everywhere. They've got the girls in the windows. It's just awful. They have to stand in that window and be on display, for all day. And, there's just prostitution everywhere. It's against the law in Thailand, but they don't enforce their law. The police are out on the streets just making sure everything does not turn into a riot. But they don't arrest, from what we saw, they don't arrest anyone. Maybe they do now, I don't know. It's been a few years since I've been there. So, so there are many groups, working to rescue whomever and however many we can. This is not something that I think will ever be abolished and ever really come to an end, It's just, can we even help just a little bit? Can we do just something, And God, He is the one who delves out justice. He is the one that makes all things, just and new. And He's the one that the girls who aren't rescued, He's the one that He has the final say, and He delves out the appropriate, justice for, for the children.
To help us put this in context, do you have any numbers, these statistics would be locally, nationally?
Yes, I do. That was part of what I have over here. So, okay, so here specifically in Texas, there were 740 girls sold in a 1-month period. So in Texas, every month, there's about 740 girls sold online just in our state. And 250 of them, you generally come from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And
They're that blatant and you can track that? They're sold. Wow.
And the I-10 corridor between El Paso and Houston is identified as one of the main human trafficking routes. And Houston is recognized as one of the main hubs and destinations for the traffickers. And it's the hot spot for transportation of the trafficking victims, the I-10 corridor. And Houston is also, they say, set up as training brothels. So a lot of the girls being trafficked in Texas are trained in Houston for that purpose. 25% of all human trafficking victims in the U.S. are in Texas. 30% of all human trafficking tips to the National Rescue Hotline come from Texas. That's Polaris Project. Polaris Project does a lot of the statistics, and you can get a lot of information, from their website. Texas and the southwest border continue to serve as the biggest point of illegal entry into the U.S., largely because traffickers are able to get aliens across without any documents. Let's see. 1 out of 3 children living on the street are at a high risk of being approached by a trafficker within 48 hours of hitting the streets. The longer they're on the street, the higher the chance of them getting approached. That's why when we're in the juvenile detention center with these girls, because so many of the girls in the juvenile detention center are runaways, or they like to run away, or their home situations are so bad. Yes.
Nationwide, how many children are on the street?
Okay, just a minute, I'll answer that. And so, so that's why when we're in there, one of the main things we tell the girls is do not run away. There are hotline numbers we give them for runaways. If there's something bad going on at your home, when you get back out of juvenile detention and you really want to run away, call the hotline number. Call Traffic 911 or, go to QT. QT is considered a safe place, QT gas stations.
Really?
Yeah. And so their employees are trained that if someone comes in who's a runaway or anyone comes in who needs help, they know who to call, who to contact to get them the help that they need.
How long has that
It's
been?
really good to know.
It's been in place for some years now.
Would anybody else follow suit?
Well, I don't know, but I know that your fire departments, are safe places too.
As far as anybody that has a program like that, as far as a convenience store, any other thing?
Not that I know right now, just QT, is a safe
Raylean,
place.
just that you brought to us is really important. Just that QT is a place, that's really good, that's good, that they're linked in, you can trust them.
Right.
Wouldn't that be the next thing? I mean, it's like, they're using it as an opportunity.
No, they aren't. No, it's very, yeah,
Really,
it's a safe place, yeah. And so that's what we tell them when we have the girls. We tell them, to go to QT. So there are 6,000 runaway teenagers in Dallas County and 2,000 homeless youth in Arlington in any given year. So, out of that, 1 out of every 3 runaways gets approached and gets trapped. They said 15% of the calls come from the DFW area. Let me see. I had the numbers you're wanting. Yeah, I had this. I think it's like 300,000 in America, and they've had an estimate that, and one person has guesstimated themselves it could be up to like 2.4 million, but they don't have hard figures on that. But it's around 300,000
Is that on the street?
who are being trafficked in America at one time.
He was wondering how many
yeah.
kids are on the street.
Okay, well, these were, the 6,000 runaways in Dallas County itself, and 2,000 homeless, in Arlington. And we have several thousand homeless, kids in Dallas, every night. So, there's plenty of people out there for them to capture. So they target them because they know these kids have emotional or physical needs, and they approach the kids and tell them, well, we can take care of you, and they really get the girls and everyone to believe that they love them, that they're going to provide for them, they're going to take care of them. So they take great pains to condition them, to first get their trust and make them believe that they're taking care of all the needs that their father didn't take care of and their mother didn't take care of, and they're so much better at that than they are. And then after they get their trust and these girls really fall in love with these men, then that's when they flip on them and force them to start doing these things. And they do because, they have such a hold over, by them, because they have they've cut them off from all their family. They don't let them contact anyone in their family. And then once they flip the table on them and turn the table over and start abusing them, then they start with the threats, okay, well, if you try and escape or you try and do anything, then, we're going to go get your younger sister, or we're going to go get your brother, or we're going to go harm your mom, or, we're going to do these awful things. And so they figured that their one life is better than the whole family, getting taken out. So they give up their life, literally for them. So it's, so it's the victimization, the trauma bonds, all kind of evil things go into getting these children ready to start making money. And the reason why, sex trafficking is about to exceed drug trafficking is why. Can you think of why it might be?
Evil society? I don't know.
Well, because you sell a drug one time, but you can sell those girls over and over and over and over again. And it's estimated they make per girl $200,000 on one girl. And each trafficker generally has, 6 to 8 girls that they're keeping.
200,000 per year or
Per year.
7-year life?
Per year. Per year.
What does your average trafficker look like? What's the profile? Are we talking like men, mostly women, businessmen, like, what is the
They're from all walks of life. I mean, we've had politicians, mailmen, businessmen, and women. Women are right there in there, trafficking the girls, too. And a lot of times a woman will be the trafficker's main right person. So the trafficker himself doesn't go out and get the girls. He has his right-hand man or woman who goes out and gets them, and they're their recruiters. So he sends them out. But they're all they're all in bed together, they're all part of the whole program. And it's not just, and they're well-dressed, suave, very charismatic, they can, they know the psychology of the girls, they know how to convince them that they're their friend and that they, can do this for them and take care of them.
If we suspected, like, let's say we live near an apartment complex or something, and we suspected a teenager was in this situation, what would you suggest that the average person do?
Okay, well.
After they've befriended them and they've got enough information to.
Well, there's some hotlines that are suggested that you call and that they will respond. But they suggest that you don't try and take them yourself and harbor yourself for them, because their trafficker is always right around the corner. And the trafficker will come after you, to kill you. They're not going to give up they're not going to give up their property very easy. And so I have this huge handout for at the end that talks about every facet of trafficking. It has hotline numbers, tells you what you can do if you find one, tells you how you can spot one. Someone who might be being trafficked, tells you the psychology of it all, gives you, tells you how the traffickers treat the kids. No, you should call the hotlines. They do, because the hotlines do act, and they have the inroads to the police, and they have the inroads to the other law enforcement agencies that need to get involved. And so they kind of like assemble that. They connect those pieces, to get the mobilization going to go rescue that person.
What percentage are stolen from malls and bathrooms? I remember with the teenagers going, it would be like, be careful, be together, don't go in the... Is there really much of that abduction going on? And then do they take them out of state or what to once they do abduct an innocent person? It seems like mostly what you're saying is these kids are already putting themselves in a risky place or something like that, not that they're, But, I'm trying to say, what about the person on the street, Do they do that, or is that something I just kind of built up in my head?
Urban legend.
Yeah, tell me.
No, they do. They abduct them from schools and from malls. And, we recently had someone who was abducted from a school and malls.
Abducted from a school and then put in this situation, and and then you found out, yes?
Yeah, Traffic 911 has worked closely with someone who's had that happen to them.
Overseas employment agencies.
Yeah, overseas employment agencies, for the labor trafficking, yeah.
Handlers, do they call them still handlers?
I'm not sure. I know that they said the Mexican cartel has a lot of people that they've now sent to the U.S. schools, and they recruit them right out of the schools. They have teenagers. They have teenagers recruiting other teenagers. They pay them. They say, "Hey, I'll give you $100. I'll give you $200. Befriend this person. Get on their good side. Make them their friend. Then bring them to me." Oh, for $200 they do it, or whatever. So it happens at the malls. It happens everywhere, with your children. It happens at school sporting events. They'll hang around, in the bleachers at the sporting events, and they'll kind of keep an eye on kids there. And when they hear, that there's problems at home, or they're talking among their friends, and they hear that they're having issues and things, so they go and start befriending that child, because they're very vulnerable, and they'll go with them and they'll do things.
Penn State football boosters.
Yeah, they're in all walks, they're in all levels of society, all levels of government, yes.
How often, in your experience, did you find that an individual being trafficked was also on drugs, that they were hooked on some drug?
Oh, I'm sure that's the majority of time. There's no way you can do that and not be hooked on drugs. I mean, they have to get them drugged up. I mean, because they sell them 8 to 10 times, a day. They can be sold, at least 8 to 10 times a day sometimes. So, I mean, there's no way you can sustain that without being on some sort of alcohol or drugs or something. And that's how they end up staying so long, because they're so, they're so whacked out by then, and they're so dependent now on this stuff, and they don't have any way to get the money, to keep on these things. Yeah.
Another aspect of it is with adult women who are beautiful, they get kidnapped out of the women's room in a restaurant in Paris or whatever, and sold into Mideast harems.
Yeah, that's something I've been learning about recently, yes, that they're actually abducting, in other countries, the adult women are being abducted up to, certain ages or whatever. And I don't know what they classify that under, but I know as trafficking is under 18, it's kids, under 18. So I don't know, maybe that's, considered just a blatant abduction, a kidnapping, of an adult. And, whatever else abuse and things go with it. So, yeah, but I have been learning about that recently, that is, really going on. And it's really, women shouldn't be traipsing around the foreign countries by themselves. They should be with someone at least.
Well, I have a friend who's a retired Lufthansa captain now. He and I were in a glider club years ago in Germany. And he was telling me that before the Lebanese war, when they destroyed the country, it was the vacation capital of the Middle East. And this Lufthansa captain and his wife went down there for a vacation, and they went into a dress shop, and she went into the dressing room and didn't come out. He went in there and smelled the ether. She was not in the room. He pushed on the wall, it turned. There was a hall that went to the alley, and he ran out there, and she was gone. He called the Beirut police. And about 2 weeks after they started the investigation, they contacted him again and said, well, the best that they've been able to determine is that she was kidnapped by the Arab mafia and sold into a harem in the Middle East on a coastal country, they said. And they said, do not try to find her, because they will kill her and they will kill you. That's the last he ever heard of his wife.
Wow.
It goes on all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine it does. Like I said earlier, every awful thing that can be done to humans, is being done, in some level, in some quantity, everywhere, it's taking place somewhere on the earth, unfortunately.
I respect you for getting involved in that.
Yeah. You feel as though if you can just help one, you feel as though it's worthy of what you're doing. Or the fact that you told us about QT is awesome. The QT,
Yeah.
that's awesome, awesome information.
And you,
Yes.
for the video, can you give us one of the contact numbers at least, so that goes on the?
Oh, yes, I have them right here. Yes, and about what you were saying, Regina, like when we're in the juvenile detention centers, you know, we have a chance to just really talk to the girls there. And we get a chance, you know, to pray for them. And so, you know, we'll say, you know, is there something you want prayer for? And they, you know, they'll open up and they'll ask for prayer and they'll let you pray for them. And, you know, even that's worth it, you know, that they know that there's something that's giving them hope, you know, at that moment, and that they know someone's concerned.
You know, this brings up another concern I have about the fact of, you know, the crimes that children are being put in these detention centers for. Up on the East Coast, there was one judge that just went to jail, which I had the article about that, because he was, for very minor crimes, they were putting the kids into the detention centers, and I'm sure that's a slippery slope. But once kids get in there, they get angry, whatever happens, and then, do you believe that? Do you believe that the detention centers are being filled with unwarranted situations maybe that then is like a feeding zone for this? Because I'm kind of suspicious of the fact that there isn't a lot of the people in politics or in the places that are exposing this more. I would almost think that maybe there's a lot more implication. What do you think about the detention concept of more kids going in there?
I really don't have any thoughts on that right now, because what we have seen and what we have heard, you know, are very legitimate things, you know, and, you know, we have been privy to a lot of stuff. So, you know, I really don't know, but I'm sure, you know, that corruption is going on everywhere. You know, I'm sure, you know, you have so much of the good, but then you're always going to have that percentage of the bad in every area, you know, even in your detention centers, in your justice system, you know, and everywhere. And they're going to be giving, you know, the whole thing a bad name. And maybe there are places where, you know, they're in there and then these kids are being put at more risk for no good reason. But I do know there is one thing that we have, you know, figured out, you know, kind of deduced is a lot of times, especially maybe the kids who are actually in lockdown in the jails, a lot of times they end up in the lockdown when it's their parent or their uncle or their older brother or an older this or an older that who really perpetrated everything, left the scene, and the child ends up the scapegoat, and the child ends up arrested, and the other ones, you know, they're off scot-free. So, did you have a?
Yeah, just kind of put it close to home. I'll bring this up. We got a call one time, this Jewish family out in Greenville, and their boy had just gotten back. They finally got back, and he was pulling his hair out by the roots and sniffing it and getting a devilish grin on his face and saying it smells good. And they were in Jerusalem. This is just kind of close to home, but you know, kind of shape when they come back. And they were in Jerusalem, the Russian mafia got him. And through a process, he ended up back with the family, and that was his condition.
Wow.
By the time he got back, so. Through a lot of counseling, he did a lot better, but.
Yeah, it takes a lot of counseling, you know, and they're scarred for a long time.
Kind of weird, I mean, how bad, what kind of shape they're in when they do come back.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, it takes years, you know, to unravel, you know, and if it ever gets unraveled, I don't know.
Is it possible to get that number, that telephone number?
Yes.
John?
I have it right here. Yeah. So there's 3 numbers I have here. One is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and that's 1-800-843-5678. 1-800-843-5678. And there's another number, 1-800-THE-LOST. So it's 1-800-THE-LOST. And then there's another one is the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and that's 1-888-373-7888. So the National Human Trafficking Hotline number is 1-888-373-7888. So
know there was a investigation done. Remember Ted Gunderson did a deal out there with Doug? And
Once she's finished, maybe I can go up and present a couple of minutes on that, maybe 5 minutes.
Is that the same thing that
Yeah.
Brad was gonna discuss?
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, Raylean, also too, and I know it goes along, I think what she was saying was, so to help the kids not to fall into these traps, it would be, what would you suggest? It's like these, communication, even what? I mean, what would you suggest to help this problem before they fall into the traps? Do you do any of that, or do you have any suggestions for that?
You mean at home, at the home level? Or,
What am I even saying? I'm not even sure what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of a way to make this better. It seems to be
Well, I mean-
this is having an issue here.
yeah, there's so, I have so much here I could say. There's so many things you can do. Unfortunately, let me read something I did type up here that probably will address in maybe not completely directly, but maybe in a psychological way what you're talking about. All right, so this is the mindset of the teenagers, okay? So, all right, well, I'm going to step back here and read some of this that I have written down. Here's some more figures from things that y'all were asking. Okay, so endangered, 47% endangered runaways, 47% of them come from homes. 50% of them are coming out of social services. So they do have an endangered runaway recovery initiative. But this is about teenagers. Teenagers are vulnerable because a lot of times they perceive their parents as not caring. So that already puts them in a, I'm not going to listen or talk to my parent. I'm going to find someone else, to talk to kind of mindset. And they're insecure, they're misunderstood, they're risk takers, they're emotionally vulnerable, they're lonely, and they're depressed. Usually the kids who are who are vulnerable for this type of thing to happen or have a history of abuse, neglect, and it's usually documented by law enforcement. And they're usually between the ages of 11 and 15. And teenagers in general are fighting for their independence, kind of like toddlers. So, that's another aspect that comes in, So some of this, it's not 100%, that was the most vulnerable child. Some children aren't from these situations, these really bad home situations. And it's just this, they're fighting for their independence. So maybe they have a little, some sort of rebellion or something, and they don't see any harm in this, or they've been around it a lot or talked to people, other people a lot, and they think, it's just, something that's not going to really harm them. Or if they start doing something like that, like getting involved in selling themselves for sex, whether they're trafficked themselves or whether someone else traffics them, because there are girls out there trafficking themselves. They are out there selling themselves because they figure they can make more money turning a few sex tricks than working at McDonald's, and they really want this pretty dress, or they really want these boots, or they really want something, and their parents aren't giving it to them. So, and they also have limited cognitive control over their impulses and high-risk decisions. And sometimes they feel like, their sex life is the one thing they can control. So they take that by the horn and run with it. And it's something that they don't easily talk to an adult about. So, so communication, what you're asking, communication is a big thing, in the homes, keeping that line of communication open and understanding that these are some of the places emotionally your child might be in, and to open those line of communications at home. And, not to let them, just, have so many secrets and keep everything so secretive, from you. Just, have some trust, open those lines of communication and, so it's not always just the most vulnerable. that can be tricked because they said we spend 24 hours a day figuring out how we can trap the children. So it's not just the most vulnerable who can be tricked, because that is what they eat, think, sleep, and breathe. You know, we're going to get them anyway. And they send their recruiters in, and they get them any way they can, from anywhere they can get them.
Wow, that's horrible. But thank you. That's really nice you brought this to us.
So I'm going to give you lots more information than you probably would want.
That was very nice. You printed all that.
Some
That's
of
awesome.
these are from things I used to work with, and you know, they have different focuses on all these pages, and some of these places I used to help may not really be
Well,
in
thank you.
existence, but-
It'll be useful. Well,
All
John,
aspects.
who's usually behind the camera, is going to come forward, and you're filming yourself, yes? To add something more, Brad had brought up a question about Ted Gunderson, and let's hear what John has to say for a few minutes. And thank you, Raylean.
Well, I really don't know where to begin or where to stop, really. There was a quote that I came across recently. When you're being a knight in shining armor, when you gaze into the abyss, be sure you don't become the abyss. This is a really, really horrible subject matter. And when you get into the depth of the abuse and you start finding out about it, there's almost a kind of a taint that comes on the researcher where you never thought of children in that way. You never pictured anything happening to a child like what you discover. And you just pray to God sometimes just to have that innocence you had before you came across these subject matters. And I got to know Ted Gunderson over time. Ted Gunderson ran the COINTEL program out of New Haven, Connecticut. Then he was head of the Los Angeles FBI. I guess prior to that, he ran Memphis and Dallas. He was here in charge in Dallas, and then he retired from the Los Angeles FBI. I don't know how you can be in the FBI that many years and not run across information on this, but Ted really only got into this line of research when he opened up a private investigative firm afterwards. And he was contacted to work on the Jeffrey R. McDonald case by the family. And researching it, he came across Helena Stokely, who was a witness. She said she had witnessed the murders. The murders were done by her satanic cult. And all this stuff came out about military drug trafficking and running of satanic cults, and then, of course, the involvement with the sex trade and everything. And all of a sudden, Gunderson's line is burning off the wall from victims all over the country. Once he became publicly associated with researching this, he started being contacted by people all over the country who were involved in some way or other as victims, usually, in some part of this. There are several prominent things I would be remiss if I didn't mention. One is the Finders case. There were some children who were found down in Florida at a park. People contacted the local authorities there, and they said this is something strange going on. They ended up arresting 2 guys who had 3 children with them, and they are asking the children what's going on, and they're supposed to be in some gifted child program, and they're going to be going. It was just an unbelievable story, but they noticed the children did not know how to use normal bathroom facilities. And the children were not, their cleanliness was an issue. And they began tracing things back. It traced back to Washington, D.C. Customs got involved, and then the DCPD got involved, and they busted an operation which had these huge telescreens up on the walls and computers all over the place, and it was I guess you might say a national hub for child trafficking, for sales of children, kidnapped children, children being raised in human farms for sale. And they had all kinds of photo albums. The predators who were accessing this finders group, they would be purchasing children from photos and all this. There were satanic elements there. The investigation was shut down as being a CIA internal matter. So just note that part there. The next big case that probably would be remiss if I didn't discuss is what is called the Franklin cover-up. This had to do with a small savings and loan in Lincoln, Nebraska, the Franklin Savings and Loan. And there were children there locally who were speaking about how some local guy who ran the savings and loan by the name of Larry King, not the talk show host, this doesn't have anything to do with him. Larry King was a prominent figure in the Republican Party. In fact, he sang the national anthem at several of the Republican conventions, I believe, 88, 84. And Larry King, the children were saying this is a really big man, that he was taking them on his private jet to Washington, D.C., where they were having private meetings with congressmen, senators, visiting foreign dignitaries in a large mansion, $3,000 a month mansion on Embassy Row in Washington, D.C. Apparently, these children were being used for compromise because everything there was being filmed. And all these different figures, political figures who were coming in there were being compromised. Can we shut that door there? And this brings to a whole other level. One of the groups that were contacting Ted Gunderson, many different individuals I met, were people who spoke of being involved in the MK Ultra program, being victims of the MK Ultra program. How many here saw the Mel Gibson, Julia Roberts movie Conspiracy Theory? That's kind of a window into it. Jerry, of course, was programmed, according to the script there, to be an assassin. Many of the MK Ultra programmees were women, and they were programmed for the sex trade. And many of them were programmed from birth. When you begin looking at the whole situation there's a very important document that you can find out on the internet still. It's a lecture given by a Dr. Hammond called the Greenbaum Lecture, and or the Greenbaum Letter. You can search it, Google it, should bring up something, in which he describes the process of programming he's finding in his multiple personality disorder patients. And this is referred to as MPD, and then later on they changed the nomenclature to DID, or dissociative identity disorder. So MPD or DID. What happens is if a child is traumatized in a major way pre-speech, the result, the psychological damage that is done is the individual survival mechanism. They split off another personality to deal with that abuse. And there's a whole science that actually began in Europe in what you might call incest ritual trauma families. Mengele became a student of this. All this business you hear about the Jewish twins that he was doing experiments on and so forth, a lot of that was related to this ritual trauma incest abuse. And apparently over the centuries, a real, you might say, science of it emerged. And I ran into various people who had come out of that program. One of the prominent ones was a lady who went by the name Bryce Taylor, whose actual name was Sue Ford. She explains that she doesn't believe she ever would have recovered unless she had a car wreck and she put her head through the windshield, caused herself some brain damage, and when the brain was repatterning, all these memories started coming forward, and she realized she'd been living more than a double life. And you have her story, which is very involved. It involves many prominent people, just like the children who were abused in the Franklin case. She was dealing with many prominent people. Kathy O'Brien is another one that I've met, done interviews with, and so forth. One of the phrases that emerges that you hear from these individuals, they say, nowhere, no place to run, nowhere to hide. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They are programmed that they can't get out. They can never get out. They will never get out. And many of the issues, like you would think contacting the police might be a good thing. The problem is these individuals have had police as their abusers. They may go up before a judge. They may know that judge. Yes?
Give them Kathy O'Brien's book title.
Kathy O'Brien, Mark Phillips and Kathy O'Brien wrote a book by the name of Transformation of America. That's trans with a hyphen and formation. There are issues with all these individuals. I will tell you that it's a very strange subject to be researching, and it's very easy to discredit because all of these individuals have had false memories implanted along with their actual experiences. So that when they go to write about their story, they'll be giving some false information, and someone who knows, who has their case file, you might say, in some covert level, can just pull out and debunk them very easily because they can't tell the difference between their real memories often and what was implanted. And so there's some crazy stuff. The problem is some of the craziest stuff actually happened. So it's a really terrible thing. Now, Kathy O'Brien is out there and she's claiming that she's been deprogrammed. Mark Phillips, her hero, her helper, was a programmer, and he says he deprogrammed her. Yet I'm doing the first interview I ever did with them at Little Elm, Texas, in the home of Margot Hollander, a good friend. And I'm watching Kathy reading the script of her interview that she's doing with me from an invisible page. She's accessing eidetic memory, and she's reading it word for word from this invisible page that I can't see, but I can follow her eye movements through the camera, and I know she's not deprogrammed. She's not out from under it. She may be partly out from under it. And then some other things, I got a lot of stories, but Bryce, I think, was honestly out because of
Where to start with it? The ritual sacrifice of humans and animals goes on all the time. And all of the leaders that we think are loyal Catholic or loyal Protestant or loyal whatever they are, Buddhist, that's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. These people are evil. If you will go and Google Cherokee Kimball Castle in Colorado, Kimball Castle, Colorado, you will find an article by a man whose last name is LeVay. His father was Anton LeVay, who founded the Satan Church of America. And all of the families in this ritual abuse their children. They were taught that way. And they make multiple personality disorders out of all of them so that they can assign them a task and they will do it. The rest of their personalities have no knowledge of it, so when they switch to another personality, that's the end of it. Give an example. If you remember, up east several years back, there were two guys who were killing people as snipers who were stopping at the supermarket or at the filling station and whatever, and they couldn't find them for a while. And then one afternoon, a sheriff in the area came on the news and he made this announcement. I saw this, it was live at the time. I want to address this directly to the shooters. And he said something that sounded so codified. I mean, it didn't really make too much sense.
The goose is in the news.
Is that what he said? Okay, then that was the key phrase to click them into the response to that, which one of their personalities was programmed to do. The next morning, those two were found parked at a truck stop, asleep in their car. It was time to stop it and turned it over, ended it right there. I went to one of his lectures, Ted Gunderson also, here in Dallas years ago, and several of us talked probably 45 minutes or an hour out in the parking lot afterwards, and he was talking about after he retired from the FBI, his private investigative service, starting on the issue of Satanism and following it from one state up into the state of Kansas, through several police departments, up to the governor's office. And he said that it's unbelievable how high it goes. And he made the statement right then. He said, if you're ever, what is that town, I think in Idaho, Coeur d'Alene? Coeur d'Alene. He said, if you're ever driving at night in that town and people in sheets like the Ku Klux Klan come out in front of you, floor it and hope you can kill as many as you can and keep going. Because if they stop you, they will take you and ritually sacrifice you that evening. Yeah. Now, these things are going on. My nephew was very bright and eccentric, and he went to St. Andrew's College in Fife, Scotland. And he learned that a lot of the children of these elitist families around Europe go to St. Andrew's. And they liked him, he liked them, they hobnobbed. He moved to London for a couple of years after school until he got just so freaked out that his father had to fly over there and pack him up and take him and put him on a plane and bring him back to their home out in about 20 minutes outside of Santa Fe. It was out in the country, dirt roads. The lots were like 2 and 3 acres apiece, and they had a very high wooden fence all around their backyard, and Parker would not leave the walls of the house for 6 months after he got back. He was so terrified. And so I went out there for Christmas and I spent some time talking with him, and he said that he learned from these people that all of these families, every single one of these ruling families are Satanists, no matter what they hold themselves out as being, that secretly and fervently they're Satanists, and they believe this very firmly, that through the death of an individual, another can psychically absorb the departing life force or life energy and absorb it and strengthen and lengthen their own lives. And that through the deaths of millions, a few may attain physical immortality. They believe this. Parker was telling me he's totally convinced there are people living in Europe today who are hundreds of years old. And this sacrificial stuff, I learned about it first in studying some things about Huna, when some of the kahunas, the masters of Huna, lost the light and became evil. They would use what they had learned for selfish and evil purposes, and they developed the death prayer. And in the death prayer, I'm not going to go into all the details, but they siphon the energy out of that person. And the curator of the museum in the 1800s saw the whole process and reported it. The victim's toes start tingling and go numb, and the numbness creeps up the body in 2 or 3 days' time, surrounds the heart, it's paralyzed, the person drops dead, can't help them in a hospital because it ain't no medical problem. And when you're looking at our honorable people, like this damn library down here of the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas and every single one of them, they're all Satanists. Do not fail to not discard that. If you don't believe it, put it up here on something you can't prove and keep adding information to it, because that's what's going on in this world. We are all nothing more than cattle to them. who was it, Meyer Amschel Rothschild, referred to all the rest of us as useless eaters. And if you study a UN Agenda 21, it's for mass extinction of humans. If you go to Wikipedia and look up Georgia Guidestones, you will see the principles listed out in 5 different languages. The first of which is reduce the earth to under 500 million sustainable population. It just goes on and on and on.
Agenda 21, that's another one we're going to be having someone talk about because the whole UN charter, not just Agenda 21, there's lots of things in there they're trying to implement.
Well, I just wanted to end the discussion on a positive note. We have a God of love and light dispels darkness. We just need to educate ourselves, but stay in that positive thought.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree. That's again, activists for truth and liberty. I'm not kidding. You cannot fight something you don't know about. And it is true, ignorance seems like it should be bliss, because then you don't have to think about it. Because as Raylean, on a very local level, she's talking about statistics, and they're really there. Then you have the big story too, and that's what they're all about, buddy and people. It's all good and evil, light and darkness. And whether it's at this level here or the bigger levels, it's all still the same thing we're fighting. And the way you fight is truth is the answer, right? And you put light on it, and you just believe, and you move forward, and you expose it, and you talk to other people about it. So yes, I like that ending. Thank you very much. And yes, sir, do you have something, Larry?
Yeah, I saw that bumper sticker on the bumper of a Ford F-150. It said, Jesus is coming back to Boise, man.
Yes. There you go. Well, folks, okay, so as you can see, Activists for Truth, we talked about a lot of topics earlier before several of you got here. We were talking about how well-rounded it's going to be. Next Monday, we will continue because Friday the 5th, we're going to the City Council fighting fluoride, or exposing fluoride, or however you want to put it. We have 2 different kind of flyers. I want you all to have some and hand them out. And what'd I say? Wednesday. You're right. Okay, Monday we're having the meeting. We always have meetings on Mondays. And Monday we're going to be having Roy Williams, who's been active in the City Council quite a bit. Yes, he's awesome. And then we're going to also talk about the City Council as far as exposing the fluoride issue. And on Wednesday, we're going to be there. Some people want to say protesting or demonstrating with signs. We have banners ordered, which will be in before then. I'll show them to you on Monday. We'll discuss our signs, make some signs. Okay, the next week we're talking about hemp is the next Monday, hemp. And that's about all the positive things that they're holding back from us. You see those bad guys, you know? I mean, we have fuel and we have non-GMO, it's high protein, and there's tons of things about hemp that we need to have it nullified in the state of Texas. If the state of Texas could get the federal ban on growing it, would be amazing if we could, it would show it for and that's the same thing with fluoride. So if Dallas can get this done, it'll be a great thing. And then the Monday after that is going to be Joe Stokes, who's going to be bringing us some new information about 9/11. What it's still, you know, we got to still keep pushing for another investigation because, again, putting the light on what really happened will open a lot of people's eyes to then be able to accept all the other things. And then it's going to be geoengineering, right? Yes, we have a geoengineering march, and I'm going to try to have the whistleblower about that do a Skype in. But guys, keep going to the website. Thank you for coming, and sorry I ran long. Okay, everybody good? Thank you. Okay, good. Raylean is here.